Imagine your brain as a delicate orchestra, every neuron playing its part, every connection critical for your memory, focus, and longevity. Now imagine if a simple 10-second daily habit could protect that orchestra from the chaos of aging, from strokes that silently steal our independence. That's exactly what I'm here to talk about today. A discovery from Japan refined by centuries of observation, now revealed for the first time in the West. You see, in our modern world, we chase pleasure constantly, overloading our brains with stimuli, screens, sugar, noise, stress, and yet paradoxically, it's the simplest, smallest actions that have the most profound effects. The Japanese elders, some of the longest living people on the planet, have been practicing this tiny ritual every day, just 10 seconds, and it's been quietly rewiring their brains, strengthening their vascular system, and dramatically reducing stroke risk after 60. What's extraordinary is that it doesn't require expensive supplements, machines, or complicated routines. It's elegant, precise, and so simple that anyone can do it. And yet, most of us overlook the power of small, disciplined actions, thinking health is only about extreme interventions. But the truth is, the brain responds to consistency, not chaos. 10 seconds a day, repeated faithfully, can shift your brain chemistry, enhance blood flow, and protect your neurons from damage. Science is finally catching up to what these elders have known intuitively for generations. Dopamine, the neurotransmitter that drives pleasure, habit, and addiction, also governs the reward of healthy behaviors. By embedding a small, structured practice into your day, you're not just preserving your brain, you're harnessing the body's natural resilience, its innate ability to heal and adapt. I want you to take this seriously, because every moment we delay is a moment where the brain is left vulnerable. This isn't about fear, it's about empowerment. 10 seconds, repeated daily, can be a shield for your most precious organ, your memory, your focus, your independence. They all depend on tiny choices repeated with intention. So today, I challenge you. Embrace this 10-second ritual. Witness how something so small can yield monumental results. Protect your brain, honor your body, and like the Japanese elders who have thrived for decades, reclaim control over your health, one disciplined second at a time. It's remarkable how something as simple as 10 seconds a day can wield such profound power over your brain, especially after the age of 60. Most of us think that protecting our brains from stroke, memory loss, or cognitive decline requires complicated routines, expensive supplements, or high-tech interventions. But the truth is far more elegant and far more accessible than most people realize. There is a tiny, precise action, practiced daily, that can make an extraordinary difference in the resilience of your brain, the strength of your blood vessels, and the clarity of your mind. 10 seconds may seem almost laughably brief in the grand scheme of a day, yet these 10 seconds, when executed consistently, create a ripple effect that can last a lifetime. In Japan, where some of the longest living people on the planet thrive with astonishing health well into their 90s and even hundreds, elders have been quietly practicing this daily habit for generations. It's a ritual so understated that it's almost invisible to the casual observer, yet its effects are profound. Their lives provide compelling evidence that the cumulative impact of small, disciplined actions far outweighs the fleeting satisfaction of indulgent or high-stress behaviors. Modern research is just beginning to catch up with what these elders have known intuitively. The brain, like any delicate organ, responds best to consistency, structure, and intentional micro-habits. This 10-second ritual is more than just a physical exercise. It is a signal to your nervous system, a reset for your vascular system, and a boost for the neurons that underpin memory, focus, and cognitive resilience. It doesn't require expensive equipment or a gym membership. It doesn't demand hours of meditation or complex routines. Instead, it taps into the fundamental principle that the body and brain respond to repeated, intentional practice. Every repetition strengthens connections, improves blood flow, and helps the brain maintain its natural elasticity. Over time, the cumulative impact of these seconds becomes monumental, creating a neurological shield that can reduce the risk of stroke and other age-related cognitive challenges. It's fascinating to think about why 10 seconds can have such power. Our brains operate on delicate chemical balances, particularly involving dopamine, which governs pleasure, motivation, and habit formation. By embedding a brief, meaningful action into your daily routine, you create a positive feedback loop. Your brain begins to associate this small ritual with reward and stability, reinforcing the behavior naturally. In essence, you are training your brain to prioritize resilience, health, and longevity over fleeting distractions or indulgences that provide only temporary satisfaction. What makes this practice so compelling is its accessibility. Age, mobility, or lifestyle constraints do not limit it. Anyone can do it. It does not rely on willpower alone, but on the disciplined, consistent activation of a simple habit that over time becomes automatic. And it is precisely this simplicity that allows it to outperform interventions that are flashy but unsustainable. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. You just need 10 seconds every day, repeated faithfully with intention. Imagine a future where these tiny daily actions accumulate into decades of enhanced cognitive function, where your memory remains sharp, your focus intact, and your independence preserved. Imagine the confidence of knowing that such a small investment of time can have a monumental impact on your life. The power of 10 seconds is not just a gimmick. It is a scientifically grounded, practical tool for protecting the organ that defines who you are. It is a reminder that health and longevity are not always about extremes. Sometimes the greatest breakthroughs are found in the quiet, consistent habits we integrate into the smallest moments of our day. When it comes to preserving brain health and protecting yourself from strokes after 60, most people automatically think of drastic measures, intense exercise regimens, expensive supplements, complicated diets, or cutting-edge medical interventions. But the truth is far simpler and far more profound. Small, disciplined actions consistently practiced outweigh extreme interventions every single time. The modern obsession with big results fast overlooks the subtle but unstoppable power of consistent, intentional habits. It's not the grand gestures or the miraculous breakthroughs that shape longevity and cognitive health. It's the tiny choices we make, repeated faithfully day after day, that accumulate into monumental outcomes. The brain, especially as we age, thrives on regularity and predictability. Each neuron, each synapse, responds to the patterns of your daily life. Sudden, intense changes may shock the system temporarily, but they rarely create lasting resilience. In contrast, small, structured behaviors, repeated consistently, can strengthen neural connections, improve blood flow, and protect against the subtle forms of damage that lead to strokes, memory loss, and cognitive decline. Japanese elders, some of the longest living populations on the planet, have understood this intuitively for centuries. Their longevity isn't born from extreme diets or expensive interventions. It's a result of disciplined, simple routines that are woven seamlessly into their daily lives. 10 seconds of a specific exercise, a brief mindful pause, or even a small dietary ritual becomes an invisible shield for the brain and cardiovascular system. Over decades, consistency works because the brain is a learning organ. It adapts, rewires, and strengthens connections based on repeated experience. Extreme interventions, while attention-grabbing, are often short-lived and difficult to maintain. People can stick with small intentional actions because they are achievable, low effort, and repeatable. And because these actions are achievable, they produce results, which creates motivation, a positive feedback loop that reinforces the habit and its benefits. Over time, what seems insignificant in isolation becomes transformative. 10 seconds here, 5 minutes there. It all compounds into significant protection for your brain and body. Another critical aspect is the brain's response to stress and overindulgence. Modern life constantly bombards us with stimuli, notifications, processed foods, constant noise, and high-stakes pressures. These overstimulate the nervous system and contribute to cognitive decline and vascular stress, increasing the risk of stroke. Small, disciplined actions act as counterbalances. They allow the nervous system to reset, calm the body's stress responses, and strengthen its resilience. By prioritizing these small, controlled interventions over dramatic but sporadic measures, you create a stable environment in which the brain and body can function optimally. The elegance of small, disciplined actions is that they empower you, they are under your control. You don't need specialized knowledge, expensive equipment, or extreme willpower. You only need intention, consistency, and awareness of the compounding effect of small choices. These actions respect the natural physiology of the brain, working with it rather than against it. They enhance circulation, reinforce neural pathways, and reduce vulnerability to age-related neurological damage. They turn prevention into an everyday habit, not a daunting task. Imagine a life where your brain remains sharp well into your 70s, 80s, and beyond, where strokes, memory lapses, and cognitive decline are no longer inevitabilities but preventable outcomes. That future isn't built on extremes, it's built on the disciplined, faithful repetition of small actions that anyone can adopt. It's a testament to the power of human consistency and the extraordinary capacity of the brain to respond to intentional, repeated behaviors. This principle, that small, disciplined actions outweigh extreme interventions, is not just an abstract idea, it's a practical roadmap for anyone committed to preserving their health, their independence, and their cognitive vitality after 60. Japan has long fascinated the world with its remarkable longevity and the exceptional health of its elders. People often ask what their secret is, expecting complicated diets, futuristic medical interventions, or extreme exercise regimens. But the truth is far simpler and far more profound. Japanese elders have quietly cultivated small, consistent habits over decades that protect their brains, bodies, and overall vitality. These aren't flashy solutions or trendy life hacks. They are simple, intentional practices embedded in everyday life that modern science is only now beginning to understand. What's extraordinary is that these habits have stood the test of time, proving that longevity and cognitive resilience are achievable, not through extremes, but through discipline, mindfulness, and repetition. For centuries, the elders of Japan have understood the power of balance, moderation, and precision in daily living. They know intuitively that the brain thrives on small, repeated actions, and that the body responds to consistent, low-impact interventions, unlike approaches that promise instant results and require significant effort or resources. These micro-practices are sustainable, realistic, and profoundly effective. One example of this is a simple 10-second tongue exercise, a daily ritual that enhances blood flow, strengthens neural pathways, and reduces stroke risk. On the surface, it seems almost too simple to matter. Yet when performed consistently, it has a measurable impact on brain health and longevity. Modern research is now validating what these elders have practiced for generations. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to adapt and reorganize itself, responds more powerfully to frequent, deliberate actions than to sporadic, intensive interventions. The Japanese approach demonstrates that health is cumulative. Every small decision, every tiny daily habit adds up over time. This principle is not limited to physical health. It extends to mental clarity, emotional resilience, and cognitive function. By maintaining these disciplined micro-practices, Japanese elders reduce risk factors that lead to stroke, dementia, and other age-related conditions, demonstrating a level of brain protection that most of us assume requires extraordinary measures. What is remarkable about these habits is that they respect the natural rhythm of the body and the brain. Instead of forcing the body into extremes or relying on willpower alone, these practices integrate seamlessly into daily life. They are achievable, repeatable, and non-disruptive, making them sustainable over decades. In a culture where longevity is common, these habits are normalized and shared among communities, reinforcing their effectiveness through social consistency. In contrast, in many Western societies, people often overlook the power of small, consistent actions, chasing dramatic interventions that are difficult to sustain and often less effective over the long term. The implications for those of us outside Japan are profound. We do not need to reinvent our lifestyles or radically overhaul our routines to benefit from these principles. By observing the habits of Japanese elders and adopting similar small, deliberate actions, we can achieve measurable improvements in brain health, vascular resilience, and cognitive longevity. The key lies not in the complexity of the practice, but in its consistency and intentionality. Every day, these elders remind us that the simplest interventions, repeated faithfully, can yield the most extraordinary results. In a world obsessed with quick fixes, the Japanese model offers a lesson in patience, precision, and discipline. It teaches that longevity and brain protection are not about extremes. They are about making small, intelligent choices every day and allowing their cumulative effect to transform health over time. It is a reminder that the path to sustained wellness is accessible to anyone willing to commit to small, repeated actions, and that true protection for the brain comes not from sudden, dramatic measures, but from habits honed over a lifetime. By learning from the elders of Japan, we are offered a blueprint for health, resilience, and cognitive vitality that is as simple as it is profound, proving that sometimes the most powerful solutions are also the simplest. The human brain is an incredibly adaptive organ, capable of rewiring itself in response to consistent experiences. Yet, as we age, it becomes increasingly vulnerable to the subtle stresses and damages that can lead to strokes, memory loss, and cognitive decline. That's why understanding how to support it in a sustainable, meaningful way is so critical. Neuroscience shows that the brain responds best to repeated, intentional actions rather than sporadic, extreme measures. This principle underlies a simple but profound truth. Small, structured habits, practiced consistently, can have extraordinary protective effects. It is here in the subtle rhythms of daily life that the most powerful interventions for brain and heart health lie. The Japanese elders, some of the longest living populations on Earth, have intuitively embraced this principle for generations. Their longevity and sustained cognitive function are not the result of cutting-edge technology or complicated medical regimens, but of disciplined daily routines that engage both mind and body. A 10-second tongue exercise, for instance, may seem almost trivial at first glance. Yet, performed consistently, it enhances neural communication, improves blood flow, and strengthens the vascular system in ways that science is only beginning to fully understand. The power of this simple practice lies not in its complexity, but in its precise execution and repetition, reinforcing the neural pathways that support memory, focus, and overall cognitive resilience. Science now confirms what these elders have long practiced. The brain's plasticity allows it to adapt and strengthen when small, targeted actions are repeated over time. Extreme interventions like intense workouts or sporadic health experiments often fail to produce lasting results because they are unsustainable and can overtax the body. In contrast, small, structured habits integrate seamlessly into daily life, creating a sustainable framework for lifelong cognitive and cardiovascular health. 10 seconds here, a brief pause there. These minor adjustments accumulate, and over months and years they translate into measurable reductions in stroke risk and improvements in overall brain function. The elegance of structured, small habits is also evident in the way they counteract modern stressors. Our brains today are constantly overstimulated by screens, notifications, processed foods, and relentless demands on our attention. This overstimulation elevates stress hormones and can impair circulation, leaving the brain more vulnerable to age-related decline. By incorporating brief, intentional actions into daily life, we create moments of physiological reset. These micro-habits act as mini resets for the nervous system, allowing it to recover, stabilize, and strengthen. Over time, the cumulative effect is a brain that is more resilient, a heart that is healthier, and a nervous system that functions optimally despite the pressures of modern living. What is most empowering about this approach is that it places control firmly in your hands. You do not need expensive devices, extreme diets, or long hours of training. You only need intention and consistency. Each repetition is an investment in your cognitive future, a deliberate act of care that compounds over time. By respecting the natural rhythms of your body and brain, you amplify their inherent resilience. Small, disciplined actions not only protect your neurological and cardiovascular systems, but also foster a sense of agency and empowerment, reinforcing the idea that health is cultivated through repeated intentional choices rather than rare, dramatic interventions. Imagine a life in which your brain remains sharp well into your 70s, 80s, and beyond, where memory lapses are minimized and your cognitive flexibility remains intact. This future is not the result of luck or miraculous treatments. It is the product of small, structured daily actions that build protective barriers over time. The wisdom of Japanese elders, now validated by neuroscience, shows that the most profound health interventions are often the simplest. Actions that, repeated faithfully, create a foundation of resilience for your brain, heart, and entire nervous system. It is a testament to the power of consistency, precision, and intentional living, proving that protection for the brain does not require extremes, only dedication to the small, essential actions that support life itself. There is a remarkable power in tiny, intentional rituals, especially when it comes to protecting your brain and cardiovascular system after 60. These small actions may seem almost insignificant in the moment, just a few seconds, a brief pause, a simple movement, yet their cumulative impact over time is astonishing. The human body and brain respond not to grand gestures alone, but to consistent, deliberate practice. When we engage in small, repeatable routines, we are essentially signaling to our nervous system, our circulatory system, and our neurons that we are committed to their health and longevity. Each repetition, though brief, strengthens connections, enhances blood flow, and reinforces the natural resilience that exists within us from birth. Japanese elders, who are among the longest living populations in the world, have long understood the value of these small, disciplined actions. Their longevity is not built on extreme interventions or dramatic lifestyle overhauls, but on simple, purposeful habits that are practiced every single day. One of the most remarkable examples is a 10-second tongue exercise that has been quietly protecting their brains and reducing stroke risk for generations. To the casual observer, this may appear trivial, but the repeated activation of specific muscles and neural pathways has profound effects on vascular health, oxygenation, and neuronal communication. In essence, these elders are engaging in a form of preventive medicine that is both subtle and powerful, relying on the principle that small, consistent inputs produce massive long-term outcomes. Science now supports what these elders have intuitively practiced for centuries. Neuroplasticity, the brain's capacity to reorganize itself and strengthen connections, is most responsive to repeated, structured activities. 10 seconds repeated daily may seem inconsequential, but over months and years, it becomes a cornerstone for maintaining cognitive clarity, memory retention, and overall brain function. Meanwhile, the cardiovascular benefits are equally impressive. Consistent engagement of simple, precise movements can enhance circulation, support arterial health, and reduce the strain on the vascular system, creating a natural buffer against strokes and other age-related conditions. What may take only moments each day translates into decades of protection and resilience. The beauty of small, intentional actions is that they are accessible to everyone, regardless of age, physical ability, or lifestyle. You do not need complex equipment, expensive supplements, or hours of your day to see results. What matters is the intention and consistency with which you perform these actions. Each repetition sends a message to your brain and body that you value their function, that you respect their capacity to heal and adapt, and that you are willing to invest in small habits that pay enormous dividends over time. This approach aligns perfectly with the science of habit formation. Achievable, low-effort actions repeated daily are far more likely to become automatic, sustainable practices than extreme, high-effort interventions that are difficult to maintain. There is also a psychological dimension to these small rituals. They reinforce a sense of agency and empowerment. In a world filled with uncertainty and the inevitability of aging, performing even the simplest, most deliberate actions gives you control over outcomes that often feel beyond your reach. It is a daily affirmation that your choices matter, that your brain and body can be strengthened through consistent care, and that longevity and cognitive vitality are not left to chance. These small, disciplined moments compound over time, producing profound changes in health, mood, and resilience. Ultimately, the power of these tiny rituals lies in their cumulative effect. They teach us that monumental results do not always require monumental effort. 10 seconds repeated faithfully every day can become a shield for your brain, a fortification for your circulatory system, and a foundation for lifelong health. By embracing these small, intentional habits, we step into a new paradigm of preventive care, one in which simplicity, consistency, and mindful practice create extraordinary outcomes, proving that even the briefest moments, when used wisely, can transform a lifetime. Empowerment is one of the most profound tools we have when it comes to protecting our brain and preserving our independence as we age. Too often, people assume that after 60, cognitive decline and health challenges are inevitable, that strokes, memory lapses, and diminished focus are simply a part of life. But the truth is entirely different. The brain and body are remarkably resilient, capable of adapting, strengthening, and even repairing themselves when given consistent, intentional care. And the most powerful interventions are not always those that demand the greatest effort or time. Sometimes the smallest, most deliberate actions, performed consistently, can transform the trajectory of our health. These moments of empowerment are the keys to maintaining independence, vitality, and clarity well into our later years. It starts with recognizing that control over your brain and body does not come from luck or external circumstances. It comes from choice, from the small, intentional behaviors that you commit to every day. A 10-second daily exercise, a brief mindful habit, or a simple movement may seem inconsequential at first. Yet when repeated consistently, these actions send a powerful signal to your nervous system, reinforcing neural pathways, strengthening blood flow, and supporting the natural resilience of the brain. Over weeks, months, and years, these moments compound, forming an invisible shield that protects against age-related decline and promotes optimal cognitive function. This is not theory. It is a principle grounded in both observation of long-lived populations and the science of neuroplasticity, vascular health, and habit formation. Japanese elders, who are among the most enduring populations on the planet, have practiced this principle for centuries. Their longevity is not based on extreme regimens or miraculous interventions, but on small disciplined habits that they integrate seamlessly into daily life. They understand the power of tiny intentional actions, a brief pause, a 10-second exercise, a daily ritual that collectively strengthen the brain, improve circulation, and reduce the risk of strokes. By performing these actions consistently, they harness the cumulative power of repetition, showing us that empowerment comes not from large, dramatic efforts, but from the steady accumulation of small, deliberate choices over time. The empowering nature of these practices extends beyond the physical benefits. There is a profound psychological dimension to knowing that you can take action to protect yourself. In a world that often feels overwhelming, where health challenges can appear sudden and uncontrollable, engaging in even the simplest rituals reinforces a sense of agency. It reminds you that your choices matter, that your health is not dictated solely by genetics or circumstance, and that you have the power to influence outcomes that affect your brain, your heart, and your overall well-being. This sense of control, reinforced by the tangible effects of daily practice, strengthens motivation, consistency, and confidence, creating a virtuous cycle of empowerment and resilience. Moreover, the beauty of these actions is their accessibility. They do not require specialized equipment, costly supplements, or extreme dedication. They are achievable by anyone willing to commit a few seconds each day with intention and focus. This universality makes empowerment possible for everyone, regardless of age, physical condition, or prior health history. It is a reminder that prevention, resilience, and longevity are not reserved for the fortunate few. They are available to anyone who embraces the principle of small, consistent actions. Ultimately, empowerment is about reclaiming control over your health, your brain, and your life. It is about understanding that each deliberate action, no matter how brief, contributes to a larger transformative effect. 10 seconds a day, repeated faithfully, can safeguard memory, sharpen focus, and preserve independence for decades. It is a practice of self-respect, a commitment to well-being, and a testament to the extraordinary capacity of the human body and brain to respond to consistent, intentional care. By embracing empowerment through small, deliberate actions, you are not just protecting your brain, you are taking command of your life, creating a foundation for vitality, and proving that even the tiniest moments, when used wisely, can yield monumental results.